Late Taisholari once said that all that is noble and laudable is to be achieved only through difficulties and trials and dangers. There are no other routes. Life, if it's going to be abundant, must have plenty of hills and vales, plenty of sunshine and rough weather. It must be rich in obfuscation and perspicacity. The essence of this long grammar is that whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well, and you have to go through a lot of difficulties to achieve anything that is worthwhile in life. And that is the essence of this program, Breaking Barriers, on the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Lagos, Channel 10, the station for excellence. Today, as usual, we have brought somebody onto the program, a unique individual that has gone through vicissitudes of life, has gone through challenges, and is here now today, successful, strong, better individual, and is thriving in this same country of ours. And definitely, if you sit by, you will definitely learn one or two things from him now, how to survive in a climate like ours and be successful. The program is going to be interesting today. You will get to see more after this time out. Do stay with us. You're still on to Breaking Barriers on the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Lagos, Channel 10. Now, I want you to have a quick peek into the story of my guest today. Then after this story, you'll get to meet him. I will introduce him to you. I will get to listen to him. You will be wowed at the achievement of this man. We'll be back. Babatunde Bamigboye was born to Mr. and Mrs. Shonola Bamigboye, who hail from Abeokuta, Ogun State. Babatunde's dad was in Kano, northern Nigeria, when Tunde was born, but at the age of 2, Tunde suffered poliomyelitis and became paralyzed. Bothered by the prevalence of polio in Kano, Mr. Shonola Bamigboye folded up his auto technician business and returned to Abeokuta to start afresh. Babatunde started school in spite of his physical challenge because he was brilliant. However, Babatunde was writing his WAEC exams when tragedy struck. His father died and the whole family was devastated. Fortunately, Tunde passed his WAEC examinations in flying colors and was admitted to University of Lagos to study medicine. To raise money to add to what mom could provide, among other things, Babatunde would subject himself for drugs clinical tests for which he will be paid. Today, Babatunde is a graduate of medicine and a fellow of West African College of Science. He is a senior consultant specialist, grade 1 in ear, nose and throat surgery at Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. He is also a lecturer in surgery at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos. Let's listen as he tells us how he broke his barriers. You're welcome back. That's my guest, Dr. Babatunde Bamigboye, consultant, ear, nose and throat surgeon, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, and also a lecturer in surgery at the University of Lagos. Dr. Babatunde Bamigboye, you're welcome onto the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here.
You look to me like somebody who has spent all his life abroad, the way you look posh and all that. My first question is, were you born with silver spoon in your mouth?
That sounds very interesting. Well, I've lived all my life in Nigeria.
Wow.
And predominantly in the southwest, though I have been to almost every part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I was born with a silver spoon. I was born into the family of Mr. Shonola Bamigboye. My father was in Kano, then an average single man when he married my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My elder sister was born in Kano. I was born in Abeokuta. We're natives of Abeokuta.
Okay.
I was born at the prestigious and historical Sacred Heart Hospital.
Hospital, yeah.
but finally moved to Kano. It was when we got to Kano, at the age of about 2, I suffered polio. The story I had then was that I woke up in the morning, walked out of the room, and I fell.
Wow.
So the 2 legs were paralyzed. And then the journey to seek medical help started. After doing so much, there was a popular hospital then reported as Burning Hospital being run by expatriates. And then one leg, the right one, recovered. The left did not. That led to the decision by my father to leave Cameroon. And the reason he left then was because he noticed that there were a number of children who suffered the same thing. I attended Abuja Grammar School. Okay, so one school I'm very proud of till tomorrow.
Exuba.
Yes, I'm an Exuba. And I happened to be the 2 smallest persons in class.
So your journey through secondary school now, how easy was it for you to gain admission to university? Or what made you take a decision to study medicine?
Okay, the culture of Abuja Grammar School was that you either an arts or a science student. And my principal seemed to be biased in science. And then the old school students also seem to want to push sciences. Because many of the projects they did for the school were to enhance the science education. Okay, so because my older sister was an art student, she made me read all the literature books. And so in the early years of secondary school, I did very well in the art courses. And then I did poorly in the science courses. But somehow my dad too felt that I should put my foot in the sciences. So the 4th year was when I got a breakthrough. Okay, so, and by the 5th year, I came out top in the science classes. So that was what that encouraged me. In that school, I met with children of higher socioeconomic class, permanent secretaries, commissioners, and some of the things that I enjoyed then was the fact that they did not have class discrimination. One of my best friends in that school was the son of the permanent secretary, and one father was a commissioner. I know that the father was a judge.
Whereas your own dad was a trader?
No, it was when he came back.
Was a civil servant?
When he came back to start all over, I had to join the ministry.
Okay, the civil service. Okay,
yes.
And what about mom?
My mom was a trader.
Okay, was a trader.
She was selling foodstuffs. And so, to tell you how close they were with us, sometimes when I'm going to school, the dad, one of my best friends I said was a permanent secretary, will leave a space in his car. I was using a state government vehicle, OGS, will leave a space to pick me and take me to school. And he say, where's that little boy? And then take me, and on my way back, they will leave a seat for me. So we did not have class discrimination. The one other tradition of my school was the fact that one is encouraged to do what we call the higher school certificate examination, because they believe that it enhances one's ability to cope in the university. So when I left secondary school, I enrolled at the Federal School of Arts and Science, Victoria. And it was there that I met some of the persons I came into the university with. Okay, so one of them, also a much older person, was a workaholic. So I went through a school that is academically oriented, but we didn't read like that. Okay, so he also encouraged reading, such that when we did our exam, somehow my grade now appeared to be higher than his, but we're still friends tomorrow.
Interesting.
That was the year that there was SAPRIOT in Lagos. While I picked Lagos Island as my exam venue, he picked Lagos Mainland. So SAP prior actually affected Lagos Mainland. So I wrote my exam, he didn't write his. He didn't write one of the courses. So that made me to enter university ahead of you. So it really was not a big task because I had him as a friend who dragged me along with him.
I've been speaking with Dr. Babatunde Bamigboye, consultant. In fact, he's well respected in his chosen profession. And I want to believe that you've been picking one or two things in the things they've been saying. But the program continues after this time out. Please do not go anywhere. I'll be back.
Breaking barriers.
By continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream. Don't stop running toward your dream.
Have you ever had your back against the wall with harsh winds of life blowing against you? And did you think all hope was lost? Breaking barriers. Inspiring stories of incredible breakthrough.
I had told myself that I would never let the past destroy my future. And that's one thing I had in mind, that no matter what it costs, I will get where I want to go.
From hopelessness to fulfillment, from the valley to the mountaintop, from grass to grace, where there is a will, there is a way.
I believe in positive brainwash. When you get used to think positive thoughts, it becomes your default state of mind. This is why I love to hear about success stories. It motivates me and gives me hope. If others did it, I can do it too.
Breaking barriers.
You are still onto the program Breaking Barriers on the Nigerian Television Authority. Been speaking with Dr. Bamigboye Babatunde, a consultant, ear, nose and truth of the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, and is also a lecturer University of Lagos. Now, doctor, so at the university level, we don't know how it operated then. We know now funding medicine in the university is not a joke. And you then, with dad, civil servant, and mom a trader, how were you people able to cope with this with your sister and the other sibling? So how was it?
Okay, let me further not mention. As at the time I was preparing for my HSC, was when my father died.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to work and then collapsed and died.
Wow.
It was the postmortem showed that he had he bled into his brain. So wow. I was in the library the day somebody called me. I needed at home. That was the day. I guess that was an Easter Monday. Library at Yaba, that public library. Okay, so the job was left for my mom. So it was the same year I entered university.
Wow.
But fortunately, and it is still so today in federal government universities, tuition is free.
It's free.
So we paid the examination fee, we paid accommodation fee, we paid tuition fee. So those were the things. Everything put together then this was 1990, like 140 naira. Yes, 140 naira for University of Lagos. So my mom did that payment. I told myself when I was leaving home that I was not going to return home. I was also not going to ask her for school fees again. So I needed to get something doing. And fortunately for me, when I got into, because I came through direct entry, I came straight to UNB. College of Medicine. One of my roommates, two of my roommates were pharmacy students. And they had this wonderful professor who's also a researcher into drugs that are about to come into the market.
Okay.
So they do what we call clinical trial.
Okay.
The stage at which some persons take the drug and you take their blood to examine the concentration of the drug in the blood. So I got recruited into that. So we're being paid.
For the test on you?
Oh yes.
Interesting.
All I said, I told my mother I would find a way. I still had a younger sister who was still in school. So I got into that. And we paid an amount equal to the school fees I paid. Okay, so I was able to, to sustain myself in school. At the point, you move to a level higher than that, so you stop using the drugs. So you really want collecting the samples. So after about a few months, I was moved to that. So now get a higher pay. So alongside, I engaged in teaching people English in particular for Jan for school. Because at the point I did my final level exam and I passed English, it did appear that English had become better. So I did engage in teaching as well. So I got paid for those things. So those were the things that I used to fund my education. And my mom could have other things to
So now, going through all these, were you not ever tempted to go into any vices during the difficult period when dad died suddenly and mom has other responsibilities? Were you not ever tempted by maybe going into other things to make ends meet and all that, make enjoy life in a much easier way?
I cannot recall ever thinking like that. Maybe because of the background I had. I was not all an obedient child. Like I told you, Dad said, don't do this, I will do. I was a bit rascal in school too. In fact, in my secondary school, I was denied a prefect's position first time, based on the fact that the committee felt that I was a bit rascal. But much later, they had to.
Boy will always be a boy.
But they sent my geography teacher to me that this is what we said, so we need to change. So, but to do the life of a crime never crossed my mind. There are certain things that were used to shape us in my secondary school. You hear things like Omo Ijesha told Benologia is not one of us, but the one that built a story building is one of us. We hear things like my character is better than my books. Okay, and I've also heard from home things like Lesson. And then my mom, when I was preparing for school, specifically said, remember how we are at home or how we were at home, not your community. And then the last thing she said is that if you can work with your hands, be sure that your hands will not deceive you.
Looking at your journey, your professional life, your academic life, and everything that you have achieved, what are those things that you could point out and say these are your greatest achievements in life, in spite of your background, the circumstances that were surrounding your life?
I look at every stage actually as, like I said, whatever I've done, my elder sister laid the foundation for me. And that was what made me to excel family. Because having set me on that advantageous path, I couldn't have gone below with the kind of teachers I had. Okay, but the biggest I want to say was when my dad died. which was a few days before my exam. I said within me, because he had always wanted me to read, with this exam, I will pass and do what he wanted me to do. And though I did not cry when he died, but the day I graduated, I cried because he wasn't there to see it. And because that was his wish, I considered that a very... And so I rate every other, because it was a desire that I cherished, that I was able to achieve. Every other thing I had done, I built on what he wanted me to do. Okay, so others will queue behind
it. Looking at myself as an individual, it was not easy for me to woo my wife. Initially, the first time I saw her, having to speak first and all that, when you are meeting with a girl and all that. So, for you as an individual, what were the circumstances surrounding your meeting your wife and all that?
Okay, well, I met through a friend, a colleague at home. I went to see that person, and okay, so we met at an event. The event was, we had a conference.
Okay.
So I met, and we started, okay, after that, okay, we asked my colleague, how is that person, and how is that person, and how is that person? Okay, let's meet now, let's meet, and all those other things. And that went on for like 3 years.
You said a conference. Is she
in Lagos? No, she's not.
Okay.
She's not just attending. So, and that took me 3 years.
3 years.
And because we finally, one day, someone of the college said I do.
So you were friends for like 3 years before you proposed?
And it was a tripartite. They allowed him to stuff.
Okay, yeah. I've been speaking with Dr. Babatunde Bamigboye, consultant. In fact, he's well respected in his chosen profession. And I want to believe that you've been picking one or two things and the things they've been saying. But the program continues after this time out. Please do not go anywhere. I'll be back. As we try to wrap up the program, what will you say to young Nigerians, both physically challenged, some, apart from physical challenges, there are some mental challenges when you are restricted mentally, when you have caged yourself, maybe the society has caged you that you can't achieve this and all that. What do you have to say to young Nigerians? Because these days, if you read newspapers and news and all that, you'll be hearing people committing suicide, jumping into the lagoon because of the economic situation of the country, circumstances surrounding people's life. So what can you say to them? Is it still possible to thrive and survive in this country as it is today?
Yeah, it's still very possible to thrive and survive. One thing I've always told the young persons, don't ever be afraid to try if your mind is set on it. That there's nothing wrong in failing, and it is what you do after failing. And so I'll say to them, see nothing wrong in failing, and if you fail, step back and see what you have done wrong, and that is how not to do it the next time. It's to learn from one's mistakes. The other thing I want to say to the young persons is the fact that there are no end to strategies in achieving it. And it's usually not one way to the end of the plan. If one does not work, usually there is somebody who will provide you an idea or an opportunity to try to achieve through other methods. Legal though, for as long as your aim or your target is legal. I have seen, even in our days, some people fail the exams and they are in psychological program. Okay. But because they're in a hospital environment, they were able to undergo rehabilitation. So those things occur naturally. Personality plays a role. But then the support that the person gets is very important.
I've been speaking with Dr. Babatunde Bamigboye, consultant here at Nose and Throat Surgeon, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, and also a lecturer in surgery, University of Lagos. His story has been stimulating. There is no way you listen to him, you will not learn one or two things. You know that in spite of difficulties, you can achieve so many things in life. You just have to be persistent, be willing to face challenges and learn from mistakes, and eventually you will come out top. Thank you very much, Doctor, for being with us today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, sir. So until next time, when we'll be coming up again with another unique individual, barrier breakers. Please, whatever you do, make sure that you remain positive and do things accordingly. Thank you very much. Bye now.